Class, hopefully you can get access to the video sooner than later. If not, it's fine. We're all here today. And let's get started. Feet together, right fist, left palm, show courtesy. And just as a precursor, I highly recommend you get some time to practice in this week, especially with the way the outside, specifically with the way the weather's been, getting some fresh air. And, so long as you're distanced from other people, it's not a bad idea. It's really nice out. All right, we're going to start off with our standing meditation. Ad lib, put the hands here, hold it up, do the wave hands like clouds. I'm going to keep my hands here, focus on breathing in and out. And we're going to move on to the Qigong. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. And out. Next one, breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. And the closing, breathe in. And out. Shake it out. We start up with our joint warm-ups. Next stretch, up. Down. Stretch it up. Head down. Right side. Switch. Switch. And switch. Neck rotations. Other way. And shake it out. Move on to the waving hands, La Sao. Breathe in as the hands go up. Breathe out as the hands go back. You want to feel the blood rushing to the hands. Go high. And hands up. Wrist rotations in. Out. Shoulder rotations forward. Back. And slap the kidneys. Chest. Center. And hip rotations. Other direction. And keep the feet separated. Grab the ball waist turning. Remember to engage the core. Keep the eyes focused on the imaginary ball. Inhale going up, exhale going down. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Other direction. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. And out. Last one. Breathe in. Out. And shake it out. Feet together. Knee rotations. Switch other direction. And separate the feet. Knee rotations, inward circles. Outward circles. All right, and this one's a little bit new, but for some reason, people put their hand behind their back, put one leg up, and just do circles one way. And this is also to warm up your knees, kind of helps to loosen up the ankle too. And other way. And switch. One direction. Other direction. And ankles, right side first, inward circle. If you don't have shoes on, you can just rotate it upward. Outside circles. And switch sides, inward circles. And outside circles. Shake it out, slap the left side. Switch. legs. Lower back. Stomach washing. Top of the head. Warm up the hands. Massage the face, forehead. Eyes. Nose. Mouth. Neck. And thyroid glands. Kidneys. And shake it up. All right, we're gonna go smooth through the 8 brocades, stretch, and then we're gonna focus on the form today. First one, number 8. Number 1, holding up the sky. All right. Breathe in. And down. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. And shake it out. Now, before we move on to number 2, I know I've touched on this before, but I just want to bring it up again just so that it's fresh in your mind. So there's 2 primary ways that I can explain how Qigong works. The first way is going to be through the physical actions. If we take number 1, for example, it's for digestion, respiration, and elimination. So essentially, digestive process and breathing. So the breathing is kind of, common sense. We're practicing breathing. Of course, it helps with respiration. How does it work with digestion and elimination? As we are moving, we're stretching and compressing our organs, constantly engaging them. And that's really the simplest way I can explain it. As you engage them, it keeps them active, it keeps them healthy in coordination with the breath. Now, the second way that I can explain this is with the Qi, which is what I actually want to get into. We're going to go into number 2, but before that, I'm going to explain how number 2 works because it's a little bit difficult when it's in the horse stance. So the theory is that literally everything has Qi, but specifically the earth. Wouldn't you know it? So when we come up, we're visualizing that we're bringing the energy up through our feet from the earth into our body and directing it to where it needs to be directed. In this case, the liver, the kidneys, the eyes. The eyes follow. This all opens up and then compresses, which is what's going to stimulate the liver and arguably the kidneys, because if this opens up, the back tightens up. If this tightens up, the back stretches. So as we rise in the stance, you want to try to visualize the Qi coming up and guiding it into the organs and through. Now, as we go down, when we go down, you want to let the bad or negative energy out the same way it came in. So up, you bring the energy in. Down, you're pushing the energy back into the ground. Now, I know it sounds kind of like magic and mumbo jumbo, and it's, if you don't believe it, doesn't matter because it still works. But the biggest part is getting this in tune. If you can get your head in tune with the action, then it helps to create an ease of process because there's no mental block. You're just visualizing the energy and where it's going and where it's not going. So especially with number 2, it's a little bit difficult because of the stance. When you're standing, like in number 3 or number 1, there's, all right, I'm just bringing it up to the side that's being stretched, letting it go back down, then switching, coming up to the side that's being stretched. So that was my TED Talk. Keep that in mind as we go through the next 7 exercises. I'm not going to lecture through each one. That was it. All right. Number 2, pulling the bow and shooting the arrow from what I've been told, primarily the liver, but it also affects the heart and the kidneys. Breathe in. And out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. and out. And the closing, breathe in and out. Shake it out. Number 3, pressing up and down for the stomach and the spleen. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. Last one, breathe in. Out. And the closing, breathe in. And out. Next one, number 4, looking back to rid negative emotions like fear and anxiety. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. And the closing, breathe in. And out. Shake it out. Next one, number 5, for the heart and the pericardium. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. Last one, breathe in. and down. Shake it out. Number 6, jolting back for the immune system. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. And the closing. Breathe in. Out. Number 7, staring at this with angry eyes. To deal with, much like number 4, negative emotions, but this one's more geared towards anger as opposed to fear and anxiety. Breathe in. And out. In. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Last one. Breathe in. Out. And the closing. Breathe in. And out. Shake it out. Last one, number 8, rising up with the heels to bring the energy to the crown. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Last one, breathe in. out. And shake it out. Now we're going to move on to some seated meditation before we stretch. And then right after that, we'll get right into the form. So find a comfortable seated position. It doesn't have to be like this. You need to be comfortable. And try to visualize yourself going through the 24 postures. That helps you to learn to sync your breath with the movement. And begin. And open your eyes. And if you can have a seat, butterfly stretch. What helps with this one sometimes is to either use your elbows or your hands to press your knees down. Obviously, you don't want to press too hard and hurt yourself, but just enough so you can feel the stretch. And just bouncing them like this. If you're going to bounce them, one of my teachers always said this, and I thought it was really helpful. As opposed to bouncing them like up and down, just push down and let it naturally recoil. So it's not you bringing your knees up and down, but you're just pushing down and it just bounces back up because that's what it does naturally for some reason. Don't really know the science behind that, but I always found that to be really helpful. And head down. Right leg out. Stretch forward. And just as an aside, a lot of times people will do this stretch like this. Like they'll go straight from here and just throw their leg out. Now this is a lot easier because your hips, they're not necessarily like straight in line with your legs. So the way the muscle's being stretched isn't as efficient as if it's in line. It'll be more difficult, but it's more beneficial if you have your alignment as accurate as possible. And switch. And open up the feet. And stretch forward. And stretch to the right side. Switch. And feet together. Stretch forward. And shake it out. Stand up. And let's see how much. Cool. We're good on time. Okay. We're going to go through the 24 postures just one way entirely. And then if I'm not mistaken, we left off at the repulse monkey. So I'll begin detailing the whole grasp the bird's tail section. And this is what I wanted to mention. Okay. So I want to say I mentioned this once before, but when you do the Tai Chi form, yes, you want to synchronize the movement with the breath, but you also want to let your saliva accumulate as you keep the tip of your tongue pressed on the roof of your mouth until the end of the form. Supposedly, as you do that, the saliva gets better, I guess. I don't really know what the logic is behind that, but that's what my sifu told me to do. They called it the golden elixir of life. I assume maybe the saliva develops more stronger enzymes or something. I'm not sure. Or maybe the chi goes to it. I'm not entirely sure the reasoning behind it. But it cannot hurt you. If it does something, take full advantage of it. If it does nothing, then at the very least you learned to do something new. Okay, let's begin. All right. A few minutes left. Let's go over that section right after repulse monkey. So, okay. From here, the hands are going to go in opposite directions. They're going to come all the way around to the grab the ball position, and you change the stance. Now, the stance change isn't really that big of a shift because you're here and you're literally just going here. So from here, you shift forward a little bit, then you come back, pull the front leg, grab the ball. Now, it's very common for people to do this as opposed to this. In Tai Chi, specifically Yang style, you really want everything to be as relaxed as possible. This implies some degree of tension. Just want to relax as much as possible. Also not like this, but my middle ground. Step out and brush. Now this isn't the normal brush the horse's mane. The hands go upward a little. So maybe if I show it at a closer angle. As opposed to just stopping here, the hands are gonna go up. Then they flip as you pull down. Now, it goes up as you push forward in the stance. Once you reach full extension, you start shifting back as you pull down. Then once you reach max here, you bring the hands together and push forward. Now the hand position, it's this little like, I don't know what you call that, curve, I guess. They touch and push forward. There's a little bit of a push this way with the right and a bend with the wrist. It's not that dramatic, but you're here and they're both bend. Then from here, separate, drag down, push forward. So let's run through that one more time, and then we'll go through the other side. Okay. Shift forward, the hands part ways, grab the ball, step forward, shift, press up, flip the hands, pull down, bring the hands up, grasp the bird's tail, pushing forward, separate the hands, drag down, push forward. All right, so I'm only going to go over the next movement because the rest is literally just copy and paste. So this next move is called flashback. So both hands, again, part ways. And you're going to shift to your right. And then you're going to shift back. And very much like before, grab the ball, then copy paste. Brush at an upward angle. Flip the hands, roll down. Raise the hands, grasp the bird's tail. Separate the hands, bring them down, come up and push forward. And honestly, I think that's about halfway, maybe a little bit more. So let's run through that one more time. Then we'll call it a day. And then next class, we'll focus on our stretching and hopefully we'll have time to go over this again. Okay, let's do it. So open up, grab the ball. Now step forward, brush. Remember, this is at an upward angle. Flip the hands, I'll roll down. Now notice that each of these actions is followed with your torso too. It's not just your hands that are moving, particularly this one too. My waist is guiding the action predominantly. And then you get into this one and it breaks that cycle. Same thing with the flashback. Once you open up, the waist does a majority of the work. Then you shift forward, push, well, brush, roll down, and grasp the bird's tail. Separate the hands, come down, push forward. So hopefully that clarifies that section a little bit. So we'll leave it there. We're a little bit more than halfway done. So next I'll figure out, I might just have to bend the rules a little bit and teach you guys 48. I think you've earned that much. But with regard to, teaching in-person classes, reach out to the community center, let them know. That way we can get started. I completely understand, the COVID concerns. I myself, I live with my grandma and I'm not trying to be the reason she gets COVID. So we'll definitely need to take the necessary precautions. But at the end of the day, it's definitely more beneficial to have the in-person classes because I can teach better in person. I can make the necessary corrections and that will help you progress better as a practitioner. So let them know and hopefully we can get started early next year.
I agree with Brandon. We're all in the same boat. I have a new baby and I expose her every day every time I go to the office and come back. So I'm gonna stop the recording